It's Matt along with Goo, and today we're going to talk about Dr. Snapped and Wailing Weed. But not that snap, so stay tuned. Alright, usually I'm a little earlier than this. I do apologize. Did not get the banner until quarter of a day before he came out, so doing it the day of. The first skill for Dr. Snap is Dark Wave, and this is a very interesting debuff that can be very powerful. The only issue here is the occasionally is at 40%. It'll be raised up a little higher than that, but it can lower attack, defense, wisdom, and agility for 3 turns. If that hits, that will severely uh, hurt one unit that you choose, and it can even affect some of the more resistant units. So this is a interesting skill, but other than PvE, I don't expect it to get used very, very much, only because of the fact that it's a single person. If it would be multiple people, this would be a much better skill, but all in all, don't really see a great deal of use. Next one is Snort In. This range is very interesting for it can pull up to 3 spaces closer. Dr. Snapped is a pretty tanky unit with good agility as well. And it deals martial damage, so even though its attack isn't very high, it doesn't matter. It's based on level. To all enemies and will pull them directly to you. So if it's on one unit and you pull for 3, if you can get his agility high enough, which is just not really in the cards for the highest level PvP. It's a little too. He's a little too slow, but you can still get him pretty fast, and definitely fast enough for PvE. You can pull one unit to have your team destroy on, but once again, and I'll show it's good agility, but it's just it requires a super weapon of agility and a very, very, very high Guild Wars and real-time PvP. You are probably going to be fighting units that have that super weapon on a high agility, so you might not be able to do that pull. But still, you can time it right if you think a unit's going to be there, or you're playing really defensive. Pull one unit out to kill, and just make sure he's the fastest on your team. A lot of uses here, and personally, it deals good damage to that unit. It's martial, and will pull 3 spaces closer, and you can even bring up to 2 units where then you can try and tag team and bring them away from units that could heal, like a Bianca or a Seraphy, etc., and kind of ruin their defense. So it has a great deal of uses here. The last one is Hazard Press. Deals. This is an actually, honestly, an insane skill. Heavy Zam martial damage to all enemies. Will move up to 3 spaces to kind of go into the fray, which is the one thing that I don't like about this skill. Does high 60% chance to inflict deadly poison and reduce HP recovery, and also, but also greatly lower self HP healing effects. So the one thing is really does a lot of damage there. Lower self healing effect, which is also so. If you have a unit that can heal itself, like Zenlon, or even the occasional hero or Seraphy that will. Does Seraphy self help herself? No, she doesn't. Sorry, that's someone else. But someone that does self HP regen, like Terry can do, or anything that, which actually makes Zenlon really, really powerful. It takes away from that too, but it's the envenomation with high damage that's a real key there. Um, And that debuff left 3 turns. And the envenomation is kind of pretty much forever. So it's a very powerful skill overall, plus the damage. Once again, though, it has the one big issue with that it draws himself into, basically moves himself into that center of the square. If there is a blockage there, then he won't move, and that can be actually useful because, once again, he is a tank with a lot of debuffing, but I'm not a huge fan of him taking himself away across the fray, unless if you are trying to get him killed in your defense. And in that regards, that is actually a interesting tactic that you can use, and I'll explain that a little bit later with the self ability. Actually, let's go through that now. It's uh, a self skill that creates 1 to 4 dark fields here. Sorry, it's in the perk. But when he's KO'd, it creates a Nardian Gate if the enemy's within 1 to 4 space range. And so what it does is it creates one of those fields. We've seen them before, but it creates fields with like an Lucia. And those fields create very large negative stat connotations for units that are in there, and greatly lowers everything about them, all 4 major stats and movement. And it does make them easy to kill if you got a long range team, a breath team, etc. So he has interesting uses with using this base skill here. If he's about to die, it uses hazard press, and then even just kills. Then you're going to create another interesting dilemma here. So in PvP, he's not really great as an offensive unit, but really good as a defensive unit. All right, let's just go quick through that. Awakening skill, he will get higher agility and move and reduce damage 30% for the first 3 turns. That is helpful, but once again, as I say, his agility isn't quite as high as some of the other super units. But you could try and tune him to be able to use Snort in first and then Hazard Press as kind of a dying blow or attempted dying blow. Zam and Bang 2 and 4. Third one raises martial potency on enemies hit for 1 turn attacking and gives that hazard power. So with like if you could get 2 units with that Snort and then Hazard Press, it does a lot of damage. And the last one, Dark Aura or Dark Wave, I should say. If he's attacked by an enemy, 40% chance for that to be cast as a counter. That is a pretty scary counter, to be honest. That's pretty much the only time you're going to really see Dark Wave is during this time. His HP and his defense are really decent overall. It's not the highest. Bahamut's a little higher, but it's a weird unit that has some good power for the envenomation and has the ability to lower all stats. But one of its most powerful traits is when it dies. So it's one of those where it's hard to kill, but when you do kill it, if you leave it last, that's the best way to kind of face him overall there, or kill him from afar. His agility 457, as I said, is great, but it's not the highest. If it was a little higher, I'd be really excited. But it's still pretty good agility overall. The movement's 2, but in all fairness, don't really care too much because as long as you get the first skill here, it raises the move up. It does give you a little bit more agility, but a few other units have that too. That have about 15 more normal agility than Dr. Snapped. Those are tough to overcome. But besides that, still pretty fast character. Kit itself is overall really, really good. The preferred weapon is Mysterious Claw, which is the Seth Metal Exchange. Sorry, I meant it's the current DQMJ exchange. Physical power plus 4%, and when I mean physical power, martial power Strength plus 14, agility plus 20. And what you're really looking for is just the hazard press snorted or agility if you're going to give him this. If you have a really high agility glove as well, you could just substitute that for Dr. Snap because you really want him to go first, get snorted, pull units closer, and kind of break apart the team. Or if you have a really good defensive team, you really want to then just have him still go first, pull another unit away. But all in all, you're going to use Dr. Snap mostly for that and then to lower afterwards as well. Preferred learned skills, honestly, unless if you're playing a team that's going to hide in the corner in Guild Wars, you're going to want really just like a mid heal or self HP regeneration, which once again kind of goes against him not dying, but you're fighting those two overall. And the mid heal is a good one, but anything for healing, I think, is really what you're going for Dr. Snap. Otherwise, you just want him to go all the way through. I do think, though, that defensive wise, and if there's people that really know and I haven't been able to play with him much, I did pull him on the one pull that I had, so I will get to play around with him a little bit later. But I believe that, and I'm a little annoyed, but this is how the AI will go, is generally we'll be using Hazard Press. Now, yeah, with Envenomation, that will do some pretty good damage. And, the self-sacrifice thing is not the worst thing at all. But, it'd be nicer if you snorted in first, then Hazard Pressed, especially if you get him high enough where then that Hazard Press will hit much harder. But in all fairness, though, too, the AI is pretty good overall in that regards as well. The more I think about it, if I was going to design a defense, I would love to have Dr. Snap just kind of go in, try to disrupt the team a bit, die, create a barrier that slows everyone down for a little bit, and then, kind of counter. It slows the team down, gives you more turns that you have to go through more likely, and has a better chance of, cherry picking a unit to kill that normally you wouldn't expect to be killed because of that field. Pros con pull. I kind of went through a lot of the pros already. It's a true debilitating that does envenomation with the reduction of self healing, and is a very tanky unit with very good agility. That is a rare and it's a combo that I know we don't have very much of. So with the ability to draw enemies towards them or to jump into the field, it's a very powerful overall unit. But the trait that he has, which I explained, only activates when he is dead. So he really doesn't have any other traits. He raises his HP and agility, which is part of the skills there, but it's not really a trait like a lot of other units have. It's only when he dies. It's a great GVG ploy and even a better real-time arena ploy when you're really going to try to do that. But he is very niche in that regards. So will I pull? As I say, I did get him. But and honestly, his kit is well designed. It's just not a kit that I see me using a great deal, especially with my breath team. I still need to work a little bit more on my agility overall units, but from that point, I think all in all is pretty good. Unit in general, I don't have that many complaints. The big issue is I just know what units are coming down the line. Joker's one of them. And we have another very, very powerful hero coming out in the next month and a half. And that is going to definitely lower the demand in my minds for Dr. Snap only because of that. Otherwise, he does have a very interesting niche and is a well-designed kit. And I don't want to say, look, no, I'm not pulling because he's bad. It's just there are other units that I would rather focus more on that I think I'm going to get a lot more usage out of. And he doesn't fit a niche that I really need to use. The other one that I also want to state is his weight is 65, and I just don't feel that his weight is proper for his usage ability. If he was 55, he would be more interesting of a unit than he is right now. The summonable units for Dr. Snap is Wailin Weed. La la la. And that's about as much singing as you'll get. Otherwise, you will be cursed, and I will be silenced. These skills are actually very useful for when you need them. Occasionally curse an enemy and a high chance to seal spell Breath of an Enemy for the Song of Silence. That is actually a very scary unit for a team that I like to use. And this is actually a pretty interesting anti-breath unit. For that regards, to seal spell and Breath of an Enemy. It's a great way to kind of counter some stuff. The other thing I want to state is the stats here are pretty high for the unit here. Good defense, good agility, good HP as well. The weight is not the worst. Yeah, I mean, weight's 35. The movement's 3, +1 for the first awakening. The resounding howl inflicts heavy martial damage and occasionally stuns as well. This unit, I am actually going to spend, and I will kind of go through real quick here. I am actually going to purchase it with a golden A ticket, just because it is very, very useful. Unfortunately, I'm not pulling very hard on this banner. I am going to get the +1, and then hopefully Wailing Weed in another 6 months will be part of the pulling there, and that I'll get more of Wailin. Or I will get them on tickets, but we are only getting 3 tickets total, which is kind of lame, plus the 10. I used the 10 already. That's how I got. So at this point, the third awakening gives large HP heal and spell resistance for 3 turns. This is kind of where I really was hoping that would be. But all in all, can't really complain too much. But when its HP drops below 50%, I can't really complain a great deal here, but that I didn't get it. But as I say, I think this is a very powerful A unit. This is an A unit that's in the undead family, which we don't have a lot of great undead units. We do have a couple of. We do have one A undead unit that was powerful last year, but right now this is a family that needed a good unit. This is definitely a good A unit. So I do hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys get lucky if you do any pulls. Please like and subscribe. And also, I am doing more Twitch stuff again. And generally, I run 24/7 stream, but I will say when I'm live. So if you got any questions, you can ask me during the Twitch. I put up the banner times when I expect to be on. So I hope you guys enjoy. And my Twitch handle is Mad Guru. So good luck, and I will see everyone later. Bye, everyone.